Hello, you're listening to the podcast of orginspire People Development. Today, Making Sense of Smart. I'm Andrew Semple from orginspire.com. Today we're going to retrieve our appraisal forms from the bottom drawer, blow off the dust, and think about how we can get the best from that perennial management tool, Smart Objectives. Now I know what you're thinking, how can anyone make a podcast about something that everyone knows about? But experience tells me that while many people use Smart, the majority don't really get the best out of it. So sit back and challenge your mindset for the next 12 minutes. Smart can be a fantastic tool, and goal setting is only part of the way it can help people to be more effective. So whether you're setting objectives, receiving objectives, or training your people, there could be something in this for you. So what's it all about? SMART is no more than an acronym that describes a communication process whose real objective is clarity. Clarity about what's to be achieved. Why do businesses use this process? Well, it's the basis of performance management. SMART then defines expectations, and the whole financial budgeting process is built on the expectation of achievement. SMART is also an expectation of achievement, yours and your people's. The acronym has various definitions. A Google search for the origins of SMART provides over 8 million responses, and there is no consistent defined approach. So I'm going to use the one that makes most sense to me and that my clients have found most useful. So let's start from the top with specific. Specific invites the user to craft a word picture of the task to be achieved. It should not only include the what, but also a statement of the why of the task. For example, if we need to write a report or develop a new process, the specific statement should include more than a sentence, but create a context for the goal. Why are we writing the report? Who will it be presented to? If it's for the MD, that elevates it in terms of priority above that for the subcommittee of the social fund. If it is a process, how does it fit into the wider business strategy? A clear, specific statement gives context and priority to the objective. Most people find it more inspirational to know why they are doing things, and even if they're not inspired, it may be more focused. So don't leave out the why in your specific statement, as many people do. The richer you can make it, the more engagement you are likely to have. Of course, the A comes next. And this is where it gets interesting, because you may have come across various versions of SMART, the A being represented by agreed or achievable. In this case, to satisfy both sets of acolytes, I will deal with both. I think achievable is the most common usage, but for many it is not considered enough, as our mindset may lead us to believe, of course it's achievable, or I wouldn't be setting this goal. Add to this the usual top-down goal-setting process, and there might seem little reason for discussion. From my own former experience, though, not enough time is spent here. If the goal is based around process change, have you done this before? Do you have the process skills to fall back on? For example, a report may require research skills or IT presentation skills. If the answer is yes, then it's no problem. But as many companies see objectives as developmental, you may find yourself out of your comfort zone. If that is the case, what help do you require? Training, coaching, mentoring? This should be specified within the written statement, confirming that the process is two-way. When companies require new outputs, they have to consider the investment they need to make to achieve them. In this case, your manager should consider the investment they need to make in you. Agreed is an often overlooked area, but can be very important in a matrix organization. It's all about the support of the people who work with you. Let's suggest you have a goal that involves another department. Do you have the support of their leaders? Could your goal conflict with theirs? Could you be the subject of internal politics or poor interpersonal relationships? It's worth thinking about, as you don't want to have your best efforts torpedoed by other interested or even non-interested parties. Just because it's a priority to you doesn't mean to say it's going to be high on anyone else's to-do list. Think about who else may be involved or affected by your goal. Your relationship and any political implications, such as stepping on the toes or turf of other departments. Organizations are made up of people, and they will all have their own goals. Your leader must ensure that you have the explicit and tacit permission to proceed with broader organizational goals, or you may find yourself derailed. On the other hand, if you work in a fully focused organization without any dysfunctions, this will not be a problem. When thinking about whether a goal is realistic, we have already made a start with the achievable part of the process, but there are some other elements you may wish to consider, including workload and context. Does this goal integrate with your present workload, or is it an extra task? Is there room in your day, goal period, to achieve it? It's important to know where you spend your time and the level of flexibility you can have in planning it. If you feel you may not be able to apportion the time, you must front this up at this stage. A relevant approach may be to ask the question, what would you like me to stop doing? Or to ask for help in prioritization if required. Most people do not do this because they have very little understanding of how they spend their time and feel that asking for clarification is a sign of weakness. However, if you do not integrate a reference to your personal work capacity in considering your approach, you may find that the extra input required may just add to your stress and make you less productive in the longer term. The advice most people give at this stage is to work smarter, the implication being that at the moment you're not. Even if you feel you are at full capacity, you owe it to yourself to discuss options for flexing your approach and being even more productive. It may also be valuable to consider context. Issues such as the economic climate, competitive activity, and the cultural personality of the organisation and any ongoing organisational change may also affect your potential to achieve a realistic outcome. We're now on to the last part of our acronym, and whether you're thinking timescales or time-based, it amounts to the same thing. But think further than the deadline and a little more about the route of how you're going to get there. If you've received a chunky goal, then it's important to ensure it's not left to the last minute. I'm sure no one listening has ever done that before. Whilst the process of setting milestones may be outside the goal-setting process, it should be undertaken by you to formulate a plan and avoid procrastination. The best approach to going beyond the do-by date is to consider the monitoring process you will be using as either a leader setting goals for your people or a victim receiving goals for the coming period. If the goal is something that you've done before, i.e. more repeat than developmental, then the monitoring process will be dictated by past achievement. If past achievement was good, then the monitoring is arm's length and may indeed be a finish by date. If it was poor, then you may need to report in every other day on the process. For developmental goals that are new, it's worth thinking about the complexity of the task and the risk of not getting it right. There may be need to be an agreement as to how often progress should be reviewed. It may be every week, by email, or monthly at scheduled one-to-one sessions. This process benefits both parties, as if there are any issues they can be dealt with quickly, while solutions are still possible. This turns any goal-setting interaction from an event into a process. Now this last section leads into a word of caution in my SMART monologue. Many people involved in this process find setting and reviewing goals so painful and unrewarding that they treat it as a box-ticking activity that provides little real value, and I could provide numerous quotes to make this point. The fact is that for business to grow, there needs to be focus. The leader's role is to provide clear direction. The employee's role is to focus activity. Whatever method you use, it must provide the shared clarity that enables effective evaluation. I've come to the conclusion that the quality of the discussion is more important than the process that you follow. I'm not suggesting that you don't need a process, but whichever one you use, it must be shared by both parties. You'd be better off inventing your own and trying to convince others, including your HR department, that it is better than doing it just because you have to. However, in the absence of anything better, it would be prudent to ensure that you get the best from the one that's readily available, and that's probably going to be smart. As a leader, you should take the time it deserves to achieve the outcomes you want. As an employee, you must take responsibility to ask the right questions and participate, or you are indeed a victim. Transcripts and training notes are available from orginspire.com, including related insights on the use of SMART as a personal communications tool and how you can use it in conjunction with Outlook. This information is also included in our leadership and productivity development programs. If you would like more information on any of our products and services or have any comments, then drop me a line.